Hello, and thank you for joining us here at Healthy Living. I'm your host, Dr. Cathy Lomartra, and this is a show dedicated to educating and empowering you, the viewer, in matters of the body, mind, and spirit. With me today as my guest is Lisa Hayes, owner of Kabuki Helps, which is a company geared toward educational and fun materials for children to learn with. Lisa, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Great. Thanks for having me, Dr. Cathy.
My pleasure. I was excited to have you as a guest. How did your company start?
Well, I never had the intention of starting a company. It actually started by accident with a card game. My son, who was 6 at the time, was really struggling with math homework, math facts. You know, children bring sheets home from school where they have to fill out a certain number of math problems and they're timed. And he found that very stressful. So I came up with a little game to help him get through the math facts without making it stressful. I made it fun. So from there, I thought, well, if I could do this, I'm sure that there are other parents and other teachers who've also created items for kids to make learning less stressful.
And that's what healthy living is all about, is less stress on everybody. What was your first product?
The first product was my card game. I learned to manufacture it myself. I learned all about production myself. And my son was a great piece of developing it. He has the viewpoint of a young child. So he helped me design the backs, and also he helped me design some of the cards, how they would work, because I would do something, he'd say, "Mom, that's boring." But it all became a game to him, even though he was learning math all along the way.
And what a great project to do with your son together. You developed this, which probably took off even more of the stress because he was in on the process and loves doing it with you.
It's something we did together.
Exactly.
That made it special.
Yes. Why do you think it is that homework causes stress?
I think it's because you have to do it. It's not a you want to, it's a you must. It's I think the same with work, it's the same with kids, that you have a fixed time period, you have a fixed responsibility. That's stressful. What if you fail? But by making a game out of it, you take away that stress. You're still learning, but it's not a you must, it's a because you want to.
Right, and it's when something is fun, it takes a lot of the pressure off the child and off the parents, because parents today have children in a home or often work, a full-time job each, and then you want to make sure that you're feeding your kids well, so you have to have dinner and shop and clean and do everything associated with managing a successful home so that the children can go out and learn. So anything that's going to make the learning fun, usually at the end of the day and the weekends, is going to be something that the kids are going to really want to do. And along the fun line, there were actually studies done with college kids that were taking tests, and when the instructions were humorous, they were graded better on the test than the kids that were taking the tests where the instructions were not humorous. So anything that can infuse fun into the learning process, it allows the brain to even think better and remember things better. So I think what you're doing is extraordinary, not even just for kids to learn, but for the family unit as a whole, to take the pressure off everybody. Why do kids see the cards as fun instead of homework?
Well, I think they're cute, which is a nice start for a young child, but I think the real key is the competitiveness. Kids like to compete. They have fun. They want to beat the person they're playing with. I've played the game not just with my son, but with other children at shows and other events I go to. And the moment we've gotten past maybe the second hand and they understand it, they just want to beat me. The thought of math goes right out of their head. They want to win. That's what makes it fun. And they get a chance to win every hand.
And if they lose, they want to keep playing.
Because the next hand they can win again.
It's a great game. I can't wait to show the audience how we do this. Does the game replace the need to do homework?
No, absolutely not. The game enhances homework. My son, again, he's still young and he's still required by the school or by the teacher to do a little bit of math each night or at least each week. And he still does his times tables and he still does math reflex on the computer. But this is a nice break for him, that sometimes when I'll say it's math homework time, instead of saying, oh, I've got to do my times tables again, he'll say, want to play, Mom? And we'll play. And that counts toward his homework because it's addition, subtraction, multiplication. It's the things he needs to be doing. He's thrilled that it counts as homework.
And what would you say the age is that the game is geared toward?
Well, there are different rules. There are different levels of rules. The youngest child who can play this is really a child who has an understanding of numbers. The first level is recognizing greater than and less than. But then it goes right up through. You can play, kindergartens are addition, then first and second grade is addition, subtraction. My son's now in multiplication. The only thing is there's no division in this game, but everything up to that, as well as math logic. And I even had a couple of college kids play it. Now, granted, there might have been gambling going on, but they still had fun. It's as simple a game as playing 21, and there's still that little challenge. So really, 4 and up.
Well, it sounds like you might need to create another game for division.
Maybe that'll be my next one.
And would you show me how to play?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, I've got to ask you, would you mind regressing for me? I need you to regress to about 7 years old.
That's
okay?
easy.
All right. So this is the game. It's called Maddox, which is short for mathematics. And it comes with all the instructions. But basically what you do is it's a 2-player game.
Did you shuffle these?
I set the deck. Shh. Okay, so it's a 2-player game. Each person gets half the deck, and all you do is I'm going to show you the challenge game, which is really the level for anyone from grade or age 6 through adult. Okay, so we're going to each turn 2 cards over. Now, the one rule which is consistent in this game is you must verbalize what your total is, because I have seen kids cheat. They'll look at these numbers and they'll realize they have more, but don't add the numbers up, and they'll say, oh, I have more. Make them say it out loud to make sure they're getting the math. So I have 2. What do you have?
I have 8 and 6, which is 14.
You're 14. Now, just to point out, being that you're 7, if you needed to, you could count the spots. That's why I have the spots on here. And this is why poker cards don't work, because I tried that too. Somebody said, well, just use a poker deck. Poker decks have additional symbols under the numbers, and then you'd have to say, well, little Kathy, take the 8 but subtract the 2 because those 2 don't count, and then use the card. That's why poker doesn't work. That's why I had to make my own cards. But again, for young child, you can add them, but you have 14. I have 2. Now, this is the challenge game. So because I have less, I have the option of turning a 3rd card. If I turn a 3rd card and my 3 cards beat your 2 cards, I win. If my 3 cards are less, then you get all 3 of my cards. So the question is, do I want to risk that 3rd card? In this case, looking at it logically, you have more than 10 more than I have. So I'm not going to turn a 3rd card. I'm going to lose. All right, so you win this hand because your number's bigger.
So I get to keep all the cards.
You get to keep the cards.
So then it would seem to me that the object of the game is whoever has the most cards wins.
Whoever has the most cards. But let's try one more hand.
Yeah, gotcha.
Hopefully we'll be close enough to challenge. Okay, so I have 11. What do you have?
I have 6 and 2 is 8.
So you get to turn a 3rd card if you think you can beat me.
Let's see. 11, 8. I'm going to turn over a 3rd card.
Ooh. So now I have 11. What do you have?
I only have 10.
So now I win. You risked it.
Okay.
All right. Now, as a child, as a 7-year-old, as we're playing this, what are you thinking about?
We're going to do one more hand so that I can beat you.
That's right. You want to win, right? And kids want to win. As the parent or the teacher, what I'm thinking about is you just did addition. You just did subtraction because you had to compare the 2 hands, and you had to use logic, right? You had to look and say, is there a way I can win by turning a 3rd card? Is the difference less than 10? So that's what I'm focusing on as the parent. Addition, subtraction, logic. You as the kid, you want to beat me, right?
I
so
do.
that's my game. What do you think?
No, we got to do one more deal breaker.
She really
here.
is 7 now. Okay. I have 5. What do you have?
I have 13.
Ooh, so I get the chance. It's a big risk, but I'm going to risk it. I need an 8 or better. I have 10. You have 13. You win that hand.
Yes. All right. This can absolutely be so much fun. And even if the kids don't know the numbers, they can count the symbols that are in the center. And these cards can also be used, as the child progresses, they can be used for multiplication.
Sure. You just multiply, and whoever has the larger hand multiplying wins the hand. You don't get that challenge part in there, but that's okay. You're still winning each hand.
And these are adorable. There's a little monster on the front with Maddox.
And my son helped me design this. He said that the monster had to take a bite out of math, and so he did. That's why he's biting it.
He did, and then he took the bite, and then he walked to burn off the calories.
Always thinking health.
I did say, these are adorable. I love this.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Now, I know that you have Kabuki Helps Company. You started the company with your game, and this is just genius. Compliments. This was so great and so fun. Do you have any other math games?
I do have some other math games. I didn't bring them to show you today, but if I could just tell you about them.
Sure.
I have some games. They're made of wood. They're handmade, and handmade in Virginia by an artisan. And what he did was he hand-carved cubes that create a game like Sudoku. So adults love Sudoku, right? But what is it? It's all logic. It's figuring out how numbers work. And this is the child version of Sudoku. Again, like this game, the game grows with the child. These are blocks with 4 sides. And if you match up one side, that's for the very beginner. 2 sides a little more advanced, 3 a little more advanced, and then really 4 for adult. And the solution comes with the 4-sided. So it's logic, and you can play it over and over again, figuring out the numbers.
And what is that called?
It's called the bewitching cubes, because you will feel bewitched if you can't get that solution.
And let's see. And do you offer other things, other educational items aside from math?
I do. My other focus is reading, because really a big basis of education, right? You read and you need to know your math. So I brought a few books if I can show them to you.
Please do.
Some are fun, but all have an educational component. This is one I think is so cute, and I brought this one to show you because this book has a great story behind it, a great success story. This is Denver the dog, or as she's known by about 30 million viewers, she's Denver the guilty dog. She had a video, there was a YouTube video about her, the real dog, not the character. She's very cute. She's got this funny little smile when she feels guilty about something. And the owner made a video which went viral, and 30 million people saw it. So the owner, who's the author of the book, M.V. Vajanik, he created this book to help teach kids different things. This is the first one, and this really teaches listening to your family, staying safe, and not necessarily listening to strangers. And the author is coming out with a whole series, which again are educational. They will be tours by Denver the dog. She's going to take kids to national parks and other wonders of North America that are man-made or natural wonders of North America.
Oh, interesting.
So anyway, can I show you another one?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love this one. This is another great stress reducer. This reduces stress for both kids and adults. This is a travel journal. It's called The Inspired Pencil. And the author, Kim LaCroix, made this. She's an educator. She's been an educator for years and years. And as any parent would know, when you want to go on a trip, the teacher will say, keep a journal. Have the child keep a journal so they get something out of it. So you go and you buy a notebook and you hand it to your child, who gets in the car, looks at the notebook and says, are we there yet? And stress goes up for both the parent and the child. They want something to do. So this journal, I think, is just brilliant. It has pages that talk about the trip. It's little starters that help inspire a child to write. Writing home, autographs, who did you see, where did you go, what did you like, what did you not like, right? What's the yuck, what's the yippee? It's just writing prompts. But here this reduces stress from your trip because your child has something to do. They don't have to think about how to start. There are little prompts to get them going. And they wind up with a memento of the trip. It becomes a journal or memory of the trip. And helpful for the parent because they're not hearing, are we there yet? every 2 minutes.
I love the idea. I
Like that?
love the idea of this. I would love one for an adult also, because, you know, we talked a little bit before the show how we go on a trip and we all have all good intentions. We take our pictures and we remember everything and say, oh gosh, when we get home, you know, I'm going to write all this down. I'm going to develop all the pictures. I'm going to scrapbook. And then, you know, life happens. You get home, you have to do all the laundry, you have to prepare everybody to go back to school, you have to go food shopping to fill the house up with food. And then before you know it, the trip was, you know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 3 months ago, and it's kind of gone. Opposed to having the vacation journal where everything is done as you go, as you are there, and you'll remember the things that you might just possibly forget later on. So that I love.
Yeah, it's a memory and it's an activity. It's two things. So it's really great.
And I thought I mentioned that I did come up with the idea to offer whoever writes the most and records the most maybe gets a prize.
That'd be great, especially with a few kids in the car.
Yes.
Okay. So I have another one to show you, another stress reducer. This is called Today the Teacher Changed Our Seats. And especially if you're a teacher, you understand how stressful that can be for a child. The author of this book, her pen name is Frances Gilbert. She is a school teacher. She's been a school teacher for many years. And she says it's really stressful when a child comes in, they have a certain routine. And then for a young child, you change the routine. That's stressful. So she wrote this book about it. And this book, which is just beautiful, look at some of these paintings. This is Ben Quesnel who painted these oil paints. They're just beautiful. They're bright, they're colorful. You can share this with any child. And what the book is about is empowering the child. And these children help the teacher come up with a solution to the problem to make everyone comfortable again. So again, it's really about empowering a child to make a decision, because even little decisions, I think, can make a big impact on your everyday life, you know.
And there's one more thing that I did get out of that also. If you look at her, she's focusing on the problem, which is she doesn't have her seat. This book tends to teach, let's focus on the solution.
This focuses on solutions.
And to fix it. Oh, another great one.
Well, thank you. And I have one more for you. This is Varun's Quest. This is definitely a much higher level reading, as you can see, than something like Today the Teacher Changed Our Seats. This book is written by a Yale professor, Timothy Goldsmith. He was a professor for 30 years teaching biology and some other subjects at Yale. And he decided to write this for his grandson. And what I love about this book, I've read the whole thing cover to cover, is that once again, it teaches in a fun way. I don't know about you, but I know that when I have to learn something in a classroom environment, I shut down. When a teacher comes to me and says, now I'm going to teach you about, for example, sonar. It's like a curtain goes down. I'm trying to focus, saying I need to remember everything about sonar. And I think just that focus makes me forget. But now you have a book like this where this teacher, he talks about sonar. He talks about bee communication. He talks about flowers and other biological things. But it's all in a fun story. This is by no means a textbook. And it's a story about an elf and a little boy. They go on a journey together, and they learn all these things. And just beautiful illustrations, very realistic. And you learn all these things, and you leave with a wonderful understanding about biology. But again, it was just a fun story. The kids, I don't think, realize when they're learning that it's all real. It's real stuff. And it's very empowering. Like I said, the story about the sonar. My favorite character was William the Bat. He's a very cantankerous bat. But he explains in a very plain language how sonar works. And after I read that, I felt empowered that I could go to a young child and explain sonar in a fun way and have them understand it. So great book, great way to learn.
Well, it sounds like you have an amazing company, and you're doing amazing things, and I can hear the passion in your voice, and you know your material, and to be able to pass that on to both educators and children as well. What's the vision that you see for your company?
Well, you just mentioned the passion, and I really am passionate about these things. I love every item I sell. But the nice thing is my authors and my artisans love what they sell. These items are not mass-produced in China. They're not made by a think tank. They're made by teachers, educators, parents, people who have that passion. And so my vision is to move forward with this and find more products that are going to help kids. And the other part about my company, which people sometimes say to me, what is Kabuki Helps? Like, why help? And the reason I called it Kabuki Helps is because I'm trying to help 3 different groups of people. One is the kids. I'm passionate about helping kids learn. I have 3 kids of my own, and so it's nice to be able to help them out. The other part, though, is that I like to give back, and with every sale, a portion of that goes to charity or the school. So I can help charities and schools raise money. If they talk about my website or about my company, when someone goes there, all they need to do is sign up, and the person buying selects their name, and a percentage goes right back to that organization. So I feel like I'm helping them all the time with every sale. And then the last group that Kabuki helps is these artists and artisans. These are all independent creators. They have bankrolled their own production. They have done the writing, the editing, the layout. They've done everything themselves. They're independent. So I feel like I'm helping give them a voice and a marketplace for their very special products.
It sounds amazing, and I'm just so happy to have had you as a guest. Do you have any success stories of any of the educators and authors that you've met, or any of the children that have played the game? Is there anything that you have in mind that you really would enjoy sharing?
Well, I hate to say, I want to keep it close to home, but my own son, he used to cry. I mean, that's the one I can see. That's the one I think about. When it came time to do math homework, and I said it was time to do homework, he would literally slide under the table. And I've had other parents tell me this too, that the child just withdraws. And when it became a game, he stopped doing that. Homework went from being stressful for me and a 40-minute ordeal to relaxing. And now mind you, after we play the game, he'll move on to his regular homework. But the mindset is fun.
And it got him warmed up.
And it got him warmed up, yeah. Another, just the excitement of the game. I had a little boy once, I was at a show, and we're playing the game, and he says, "This is the most awesome game ever." And he ran to tell his friends, and I thought, here's a kid telling other kids that math is awesome. He doesn't realize that that's what he's doing. He was spreading the word. That was really exciting to see a kid tell me that math was awesome.
So, are any of the authors someone that perhaps has an interesting background you'd like to share? Aside from you, of course.
Aside from me. Frances Gilbert actually has a very interesting background. She grew up in World War II England. So she has this wartime background. She immigrates to the U.S., becomes a teacher, and now goes on. This is not her only book. She's written, goodness, I think 6 or 8 books at least, all about these problem-solving issues. So it's interesting. She's had a very colorful life, and you can see the color in her books, just the illustrations she chooses. That she loves this, and she's got a passion for kids.
All right. Well, I thank you again for being a guest. Would you like to give the viewing audience your contact information?
I would. My website is kabukihelps.com. And you can reach me with any questions at info@kabukihelps.com. Thanks.
You're welcome. I'm Dr. Cathy Lomartra, and my contact is kathycan.com or 203-488-0073. That's all for today. Make every day a healthy day, and always remember to celebrate it. Take good care. See you soon.